Hello? Ready to go?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman.
Welcome to RBKC's Licensing Subcommittee, and thank you for attending. This hearing is being live streamed. I'm Councillor Janet Evans, and I will be chairing this meeting. The committee for this hearing comprises Councillor Dory Schmetterling, Councillor Toby Benton, and me. We are joined by Paul Phelan from the Council's licensing team, our legal officer, Lindsay Lemassurier, and also with us are committee officers, Holly Weaver, Daniela Heel, and Jerome Treherne. Before we start the hearing, just a few ground rules, please. Keep your microphone on mute unless you're speaking, and only 2 microphones can be in use at any one time, and please make sure your mobile phones are on mute. Thank you. The case before us today is to grant a license for Bluebird Chelsea, 350 Kings Road, SW3 5UU. Now for declarations of interest. I have no declaration of interest, although I have been to the premises, but not in a long time. I have not made up my mind before the hearing. Do the other members have any declarations to make? Councillor Schmetterling?
No declaration.
Councillor Benton?
No declaration, Chair.
For clarity, I will outline the procedure of the meeting, which has already been circulated with the papers. First, the licensing officer, Mr. Phelan, will give a brief outline of the application. Please, could you confirm your attendance?
Good morning, Chair. Present.
Then I will ask applicant's legal advisor, Ms. Lisa Sharkey, to present her submission. She will have up to a maximum of 10 minutes to do so. She is joined by her clients, Med Rogers, Anthony Broncaz, Davide Santi, and Richard Vivian. Somebody's missing.
Only Med Rogers is here. Only Med Rogers is here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very good. And please, could you all confirm your attendance?
Med Rogers is with me today. My colleague from the office, Kerry McGower, is here. The other gentlemen are not attending today.
Okay.
Med will be speaking, if need be.
Fine. Then questions, you will have up to 10 minutes, and everyone can speak 10 minutes if you wish, and then we will ask you questions, the committee will ask questions, the legal officer and the objectors, who we don't have any today, who are present. Next, so the objectors will not be speaking, then we'll go straight to...
Just read this bit here in the box.
Yeah, we have had 9 objections from residents, none of who can attend today. But I wish to reassure them that we shall take into account their written representations. After this, we'll ask our legal officer, Ms. Lemassurier, to deal with any other questions she may have, and then she will lead on the draft conditions session. The list of potential conditions has been circulated to all of the parties prior to the hearing. Please, could you confirm your attendance?
Present, Chair.
Thank you. Then finally, we will turn to the governance team to see if any issues have been raised that we need to consider. There will be no summing up. No, excuse me.
Oh, yes, there's 3 additional submissions, not 2, when it comes to that bit.
Oh, sorry. I would like to remind everyone that the committee has read the papers which comprise the main pack and 3 additional submissions from the applicant, and corrected hours from licensing that have been circulated to the parties. So there is no need to repeat their content, but please do draw our attention to certain points and pages. And of course, I'll mention it again, there will be no summing up. Let's get going. Mr. Phelan, please can you outline the case for us and advise if there has been any additional documentation received?
Chair, members of the subcommittee, good morning. The matter before you today is an application by the Bluebird Store Limited for the grant of a premises licence in respect of Bluebird Chelsea, 350 Kings Road, London, SW3 5UU. The premises currently benefits from 2 premises licence, which between them permit the provision of late night refreshment indoors, regulated entertainment for private use indoors, performance of live music indoors, playing of recorded music indoors, entertainment similar to music or dance indoors, and the sale by retail of alcohol on and off the premises in the restaurant, bar and cafe, with sales of alcohol off the premises also permitted via the second licence. A breakdown of the activities and locations relevant to each licence is provided at the top of page 6. A list that compares the current hours and licence for activities permitted with those hours and activities proposed by way of the new grant application is also included at pages 6 and 7 of the main bundle. Chair, it should be noted that an additional document was circulated yesterday at the request of the applicant that highlighted a discrepancy in the hours sought on Friday for recorded music indoors, excluding the ground floor function room. I refer members to the additional document shared yesterday, which confirms that recorded music indoors, excluding the ground floor function room, is sought until 1 a.m. on Fridays, apologies, and not midnight. This is in line with the application's advertising of this application. Copies of the existing licences are attached as Appendix A, with a copy of the new grant application attached as Appendix B. Again, for clarity, an amended application form and table that addresses the earlier mentioned discrepancy was provided as additional documentation by the applicant. This application has attracted a total of 9 representations which oppose the application. The contents of these representations are summarised at page 12, with copies attached to Appendix D. Council records indicate that 2 noise nuisance complaints were received in the preceding 24 months. Council records also indicate that the premises has been the subject of 20 temporary event notices in the preceding 12 months. The Planning Department has not made a formal representation in connection with this application, but as an informative for the subcommittee, the Planning Department has confirmed that a change of use for ground floor from retail class A1 to cafe class A3 was granted in 2018 to be used in association with the existing cafe and installation of an internal partition. Condition 3, which is tied to the operating hours, states that the hours Monday to Friday are from 9 till 22. Sorry, apologies. The planning officer continues to specify that the application for a premises proposes a terminal hour of 23:30 for serving late night refreshments and alcohol in the cafe. Records show that no application to amend the planning condition has been received, and in the absence of any formal planning application, that can be considered. The planning officer has no objections. A full copy of the planning officer's comments is attached as Appendix G. Finally, Chair, I can confirm that the following additional documents were circulated ahead of today's hearing. A 43-page PDF bundle circulated on the 9th of June, a correctly labelled plan identifying the first floor, which again was circulated on the 9th of June, a document submitted at the request of licensing, which is to be disregarded in place of a further email circulated yesterday, which contains an amended table of the activities and hours sought, along with an amended application form that detailed the corrected hours for recorded music I referenced earlier in my opening statement. That email has also identified further amendments offered by the applicant following their meeting with resident associations for Porton Square, Mallard Street, Mulberry Walk and the Vale. You will now hear from the applicant. I'm happy to provide any further clarification as required. Thank you, Chair. I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you. Before we start with the applicant's case, could our governance put up a outline or diagram of the courtyard, please? Do you have one? We have it in the packet, but I thought we could refer to it. It might be easier.
Was this the corrected plan that has been circulated since, or the plan that was part of the main bundle?
It was, I want to show that
I think it's
it's a courtyard.
I think it's just, I think the,
In the additional bundle that you sent, the supplementary documentation.
the picture, I think the
Yeah.
chair would like, rather than the plan, I think she's
Yes.
meaning on page.
It's, well, there's a few, but I think it's easier, then we can envision what Ms. Sharkey is talking about.
It's the 43-page PDF, and there's a picture of the courtyard within there.
Yeah,
Yes, just getting it up now, thank you.
great, thank you very much. Because that's where most of the issues are, actually, so, okay, and,
That's it, is it?
yeah. Okay, that's a very good long shot. Okay. Ms. Sharkey, please can you advise if there have been any amendments to your application?
Yes, we amended the application I wrote in yesterday to confirm in relation to the courtyard. On page 7 of the application form, we apply for late night refreshment to include the courtyard cafe and bar. We do not need it to include the courtyard because the courtyard will close for licensable activities at 11 o'clock. So no late night refreshment will be provided in the courtyard after that time. So if I could please amend the application in relation to that matter.
Our solicitor says that's fine. Okay, can you now present your submission? You have up to 10 minutes, please.
Thank you. The purpose of the application is to enable the operators to put a dispense bar in the courtyard area. At the moment, all alcohol is dispensed from the cafe, which, if you looked at the first set of photographs, as you enter the courtyard, on the left-hand side is a set of double doors which lead into the cafe. So waiters and waitresses are in and out of that door, servicing the courtyard. And if you can see, the courtyard's quite long. So the people at the end of the courtyard, it's quite a distance to carry those glasses back and forth on trays. So the intention would be to have, if you allowed the application today, would be to construct a dispense bar which would better service the customers. It doesn't mean any increase in numbers of customers, that will stay the same. It would operate in exactly the same way. It would just be less travel distance for the waiting staff. We wouldn't operate the dispense bar all the time because it might not be busy enough. It might be early in the day, it might not be very busy in the courtyard, people might be sat close to the cafe. So we would continue to serve from the cafe as well, just to provide best service. The dispense bar, we have operated a series of 10s over the last 2 years with a dispense bar in place, and that's operated over multiple days. That was in the bundle of evidence that was sent in, but there was 18 occasions in the last 2 years where on multiple days where the dispense bar operated, and it proved very popular. We didn't have any complaints, no issues with regard to the dispense bar. If anything, customers were a bit happier that they got served a bit quicker when it was busy. It's not a bar at which people will be able to stand at. It's purely waiter-waitress service, and we have indicated that the alcohol sales will stop in the courtyard at 11 o'clock, which isn't, at the moment, we could serve out there later than 11 o'clock by way of off sales from the cafe, but we're not going to do that. We're going to close the courtyard. When we say close, though, the courtyard, we mean we're not going to serve drinks beyond 11 o'clock. We would like people to be able to finish their drinks. If they haven't got a drink, we will be asking them to leave the courtyard. If they are just finishing off their drink, we don't want to shoo them out of the courtyard. We would like to give them a bit of time, as we do at the moment. We give them some time to finish their drink and to leave the area. At the moment, after 11 o'clock, once people have left, we do allow people to go and stand outside to have a cigarette or to take a phone call. We don't ask them to go and stand onto the pavement because that would be more disturbing, we feel. So they do stand in the courtyard. It's always been well managed. We've never had a complaint of that nature. Also, people might sometimes stand in the courtyard if they've ordered a taxi and they're waiting for the taxi to arrive. Again, we don't want to push them onto the street. If we could have them wait inside, that would be super. With regard, though, and I'll deal with the conditions in a moment, checking the time. With regard, though, customers, when they do go outside to smoke, some of them do take their glasses with them. They don't go onto the pavement, but they do take their glassware with them. Some people do not choose to leave it at the table. They take it with them. We've never had an issue. They bring it back into the premises with them. We go outside to monitor people using the space just to make sure it's not a problem. At the moment, there's no restriction on the number of people that go outside, but we are stating 35 within the application itself. When we first started this process, we met with all the authorities sort of end of last year. We had a series of meetings with the authorities, conditions were discussed. We then met with the residents. Unfortunately, it looks like that the letters we posted in residents didn't go far enough. We didn't post them out to everybody. We missed residents. We've apologised to them for that. And those residents who did attend, we submitted the application to them before we sent it in. We sent them the conditions, and those residents didn't object to this application. However, unfortunately, we did miss residents, and they have objected. Since then, though, we had a meeting at the premises last Friday afternoon with 3 representatives of the residents, and we agreed various amendments, and I gave them various reassurances regarding the conditions. They thought we were removing the mandatory conditions, and I explained we don't put them in the application. They will all be automatically imposed, and there were concerns about a couple of other conditions that we weren't going to change anything, and we've reoffered those conditions. It was my understanding yesterday, because I saw an email from one of the objectors, Catherine Rapsey, that she had, on behalf of herself and the Residents Association, had withdrawn the objection. I knew, though, that we needed to attend today because the message might not have got to everybody regarding all the changes that have been made. So the application is before you to determine. But once we knew that we admitted to speak to some residents, we reached out to them straight away so we could talk to them about the proposal. They were concerned that we were trying to create something different, but when they understood it was to improve service, they were a lot more content with that, and we've also agreed to do other things with them which aren't part of the conditions, which I think just is an enabling thing for us to do. With regard to, there were some questions in the conditions with regard to what time the courtyard currently closes. That's 11 o'clock, as I've said, and we ask people to then finish their drinks and leave. And the cafe also, actually, we close that at 11 o'clock as well. We do then let people finish their drinks before leaving. We don't continue with regulated entertainment in the cafe after 11 o'clock in the evening, but we do allow the late night refreshment until 11:30 with people leaving at the same time. Should I address you on the conditions? Yeah, okay, fine. Okay. Med, do you want to say anything further? No. Okay, thank you.
Now, any questions first from the committee? Councillor Schmetterling?
No, go ahead.
Excuse me, I called you.
Oh. Thank you. At this stage, I just have one sort of more basic question. I'm curious why you've applied for a new license when you've got 2 already, and you could just do a variation on one or both.
The second licence, actually, we don't use at all. It relates to the furniture shop. It's an historic licence, and we maintain it simply in case the furniture shop ever leave to give us that option, but we don't use that licence. I don't know why we apply. I think we consulted with the authorities, and the advice was to apply for a new licence, so that's what we've done.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I just wanted, I'm not clear on what the capacity of the courtyard is, first of all, and actually just I'll ask the follow-up to that. Apologies for going slightly into the suggested conditions, but I'm wondering why 35 people is requested to be outside smoking, making calls after 11. That seems like a lot.
The capacity of the courtyard with regard to the fire risk assessment is 120 people. Obviously, inside the premises, it is more.
Sorry, say that one more time, the number.
Sorry?
What was the number? Sorry, I missed it.
It was 120 persons for fire risk assessment in the courtyard. The 35 was a number to take account of the people inside the premises, and that was discussed and agreed with the authorities and the residents. So there was no beauty in the number.
Okay.
But I don't think we would want any less. We have managed it up until this point without complaint or incident, with no number restriction.
Okay. That is fine for now. Thank you.
Okay. Music outside. How are you going to handle that? In the courtyard?
I think there are some speakers that play piped background music, but we haven't applied for music as part of the application, live music or recorded music, a part of the application for the courtyard.
Is that a big part of your offering, you think?
Inside the premises?
No, outside? No.
No.
Okay, and how do you handle it in terms of numbers? Because the courtyard is seated, correct? So we all know how it is now. The customers get on the phone, they invite all their friends down. When the friends pitch up on a Saturday afternoon or at Saturday night, do you require them to get a drink and sit down so you don't get the numbers going crazy?
The numbers are controlled by whether it's the staff or the security staff that are there at weekends. Obviously, they don't allow more people to go in than is safe to go into the premises. But you do, as you've obviously seen, get a mix of people who will be seated, and you will have some who are also standing. And it wasn't part of our application that everybody has to be seated. There was no change to the operation in that respect. The change was to have the dispense bar to make service easier and more smooth, more streamlined for the customers.
So when you put in the new bar, the dispense bar, will people be able to go up to the bar and order a drink, or they still have to order through a waiter? Because it changes the dynamic, obviously.
Yeah. There are, at page 9 of the application, there are some conditions. I've said 9. It is, there are 9. Conditions 16 to 19 within the original application form. We had offered conditions which had been discussed with the residents and the authorities that it would only be waiter-waitress service, it would be a dispense bar. So everybody's got to order through a waiter or waitress.
Okay. And how many staff do you have outside?
Obviously, it depends on the volume of people outside, but we normally go up to 9 waiters on a busy weekend.
Sorry, I can't hear you. I couldn't speak into the mic.
Sorry. It obviously depends on the volume of people in the courtyard, but we normally have 9 waiters on an average busy Saturday.
I see. And then you said the security officers.
Yes, and we have security officers on as well.
Right. Where at the entrance?
Right at the entrance to the courtyard.
Right. Okay. And your entrances, you have one entrance? Does it go that way, the traffic, or can they come in on both sides?
We have one entrance to the courtyard, and then that gives you access inside the restaurant and the cafe as well. So it's one entrance where the security man at all times.
Okay. And then on the club privé, the private room, is that a club, or do you still have a nightclub there, or it's only private functions?
No, it's for private functions.
I see. Okay. Committee, any more questions?
Yeah, good.
Councillor Schmetterling?
I was just wondering about this salon privé, which didn't seem to get mentioned in the previous license. I mean, we've got a comparison table here, what you've got, what you would like. But that's always been there, this salon, this privé. What is it? Is it a private room? I mean, it sounds like a private room for private functions.
Yeah, that's the private dining rooms, which are hired out for functions, birthdays, corporate events. So they're not open to the general public.
Thanks. And I've got a question or suggestion to the solicitors. I don't know how you submitted it, but the way we got it, the revised hours when you decided to change them, make these tweaks, we've got this long table, but it didn't actually say what the changes were. So I had to plow through the tables to see what, it didn't say this is the little change, on one item. So I just wondered if maybe in the future you could...
There's no changes.
No, when you got the revised hours, there were changes compared to the pack. That's all.
I think it was a correction, it wasn't a change.
Well, a correction, whatever it is, but to actually state what it is, or rather, I had to plough through the whole lot to see where the change was, the correction was. Anyway, just a suggestion, a request. Thank you.
Councillor Benton?
Thank you, Chair. Just another one. Just on my understanding correctly, New Year's Eve to New Year's Day would be all the way through.
Yes,
right.
but not the courtyard, obviously.
But not the courtyard?
Yes.
Okay. Of course, because that...
And late night refreshments, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around some of this. It takes me a minute. Thank you.
Yeah, I also have a question about the New Year's Eve. Because if you already have a 5 o'clock, and then 5 a.m., and then you want all the way through, what is your next service then? Are you serving brunch, right, or lunch?
The existing license, we've applied as per, excuse me, we've applied as per the existing license. So the existing license goes all the way through because it was an old justice's license permission that carried over. And the late night refreshment is until 5 a.m. in the morning because late night refreshment after 5 a.m. is not licensable. So all we've done is repeat that. It doesn't necessarily mean that the premises operate until that time on New Year's Eve. And I think in actual fact, though we haven't been asked to amend it by any of the residents or the objectors, I think the premises generally will shut at 2 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Eve.
Okay, I think we can also deal with that in the conditions, can't we? So any other questions from the committee?
Just the thing, as we haven't got the objectors here, I wanted to just sort of say something to objectors. Can I do that?
1 second, I have to consult our lawyer. Councillor Schmetterling would like to add something.
Thanks. This is more addressing the objectors. There were only 2 who are not here, of course, but I don't think they're watching either, but in case the recording is ever watched, is that there's only 2 complaints in quite a long time, yet quite a few objections. So, as I would like to say, is if anyone has any issues on the day, report it. Otherwise, it's no evidence. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very helpful, Councillor Schmetterling. Okay, now, any questions from our legal officer before we go into the conditions?
Yeah, just 1 or 2. You mentioned earlier on that there've been, apart from background, is it just background music that's going to be in the courtyard? Will you have regulated entertainment there during the day? So no reg entertainment in courtyard. Sorry, just background music. Okay, thank you. And sorry, just one more question.
Live musicians.
No live musicians or anything like that?
I think he said something.
Because looking at the application, all areas except ground floor function would appear to include the courtyard. I know you've got the condition about everyone leaving at 11, but live music, that kind of ends. Okay, that will be helpful. Okay, so remove courtyard from regulated entertainment. So that's live music, recorded music, and entertainment similar. Are you happy with that? Courtyard, thank you. So just for clarity, just background music, which isn't a licensable activity in the courtyard. Thank you. That's good. Just a general question. I know you've referenced the capacity of the courtyard. I think you said, was it 120, I think you said? I can't remember. What is the just general capacity of the premises? I was only interested because some of the DREG provisions don't kick in if it's more than 500. Is it less than 500? I think that's what I was interested in.
I think if the whole of the premises was in use, all the different areas, the private rooms, we'd be over 500.
Okay, so you wouldn't necessarily benefit from, I think some of the DREG provisions don't kick in if the capacity is more than 500, but that was just a side point. Okay, I think when we go through the conditions, I just wanted to touch on, for example, if the courtyard of people have got to be off by 11 p.m, then I think some of the councillors were concerned, we normally have like 30 minutes drinking up, whether you'd consider like reducing the hours for the courtyard by 30 minutes so that we've then got the 30 minutes drinking up so that the customers will be physically off the courtyard by then. But we can come to that when we get to the conditions bit. Any other questions?
I think we can cover the rest of the questions during our condition session.
Right, everybody's seen the conditions. I think I've updated them as at end of play yesterday. It got a bit confusing. Right, what we'll do is I'll go through the conditions, and I just want to just clarify just some of the times and what have you. So, are you okay with the additional red wording in number 1, CCTV?
Yes, please.
We're absolutely fine with Part A. So 1A we're fine with. Part G, we do not want to agree to that at this stage. There are CCTV cameras within the premises, but within the courtyard we don't capture every angle. We're not going to capture everybody. So it will be quite expensive for us to start installing more CCTV. The police didn't ask for that when we consulted with them, and we have agreed that condition with them. So we just weren't happy with Part G.
It's just all entry and exit points, though. It's not
Well,
the courtyard.
technically it would become an entry point because it's going to be licensed. So we can catch them on the way in.
I think that was my understanding. It says people kind of enter, presumably there's like an entrance from the road. I think there's 2 entrances, I think you said.
There's the courtyard entrance.
Yeah.
And then if you go past the premises and round the corner to the right, there's a separate entrance where you get to the private dining room, the private room, which is on the ground floor. So when they're in the building, we capture them.
Yeah.
But we won't capture them coming through the courtyard entrance.
Okay.
But we do think, that, I mean, we did consult the police, and clearly they're happy with the current arrangements with regard to CCTV.
Okay. I suppose it's just if there was an incident and you want to be able to, the police would want to be able to.
Well, I think the police would then come back to us and.
Okay. All right. Well, the councillors can take a view on that then. Okay. Thank you.
I mean, it would be quite expensive for us to start changing the system.
Just on exiting on the, is it Beaufort Street? On the Beaufort Street side. That's all, it's just for the function room, so that's 10 o'clock, right? Yes. I see, so there's not really any need for security over there. They don't make a lot of noise or whatever. And the function rooms are what, for 20 people? Or?
They can be larger. The biggest functions we do go up to 150. But if we did that big, they would exit out of the front. To be honest, the Beaufort Road exit is rarely used.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
So the Beaufort Street exit is just for the ground floor function room, not the first floor?
For the small private function room down the ground floor, yes.
Okay, ground floor.
If it helps, when you come in through the courtyard,
Yeah, on the left.
yeah, if you went into the cafe to the right, a larger function room which is very engine room.
Yeah.
And then if you went through that area and some back of house corridors, you get to the other private room, which is the room where you enter from the other road. But that's only used when there's something happening in that.
So most of the function rooms are on the first floor and you gain access through the front courtyard entrance for that. Okay, thank you. Number 2, I didn't have any questions, so you offered that, that's fine. Number 3, are you happy with my version of number 3 and 4?
Yes.
Go on then.
We actually use electronic logs.
Okay.
Thank you for that reminder. Yes, we actually use electronic logs. So the staff log on, they all get a login code and they log on themselves, and we track that to complete their training. So I actually wanted to amend it to read, shall I read it out?
It's number 3 or 4 you're talking about.
This is
then?
number 4.
Yeah.
So it would, to read signed and dated records or electronic logs.
Log. Okay.
Log, yes, shall be kept of all staff training, which shall be kept at the premises, detailing the name of each member of staff trained, and, I've added in the word, the date the training was, should we say undertaken?
Yeah.
And then I was crossing out details of the person who provided the training and an acknowledgement that the staff have been so trained, simply because it is electronic training, so it is not a person delivering the training.
Okay, is it in-house training or is it by an external provider?
It's by an external provider. You log on, you complete the training, you've got a test at the end as part of your training, and if you pass,
Okay.
you find out.
Perhaps details of the external provider we can
yeah.
include.
The rest of the sentence was absolutely fine about such records shall be kept and made.
Right, 5 and 6 are amalgamated into the one above.
So they get crossed out. Is that right?
Sorry?
So they get struck out 5 and 6 because you've amalgamated them.
I've amalgamated
Yeah,
it into
fine.
the ones above, so
Just
I
all
wasn't
clear.
going to include them. Number 7,
We're happy?
number 8, no change. Number 9, no change, apart from your amendment yesterday. Number 10, no change. Our preferred wording for number 11.
We were happy with that.
Thank you. Our preferred wording for number 12.
Right. We thought this was we found it a bit complex when we were breaking it down. So we would prefer to keep our wording that we would have a residents meeting annually, even if it's twice. Even if it's every 6 months, we're fine with that. But we found that wording quite complex. We have also offered to the residents that we'll attend their meetings if they'd like us to come along to their meetings. So we are now in dialogue with them, and we intend to keep that dialogue open. So I don't think it needs to be as restrictive as that. They didn't ask me for a residents meeting condition when I met with them Friday, nor the previous time when my colleague met with them.
Yeah, we feel it shows goodwill. Do you also have a scheme where you give residents a discount or something like that?
Yes, we have a loyalty scheme where we give local residents a discount.
So you might want to tell that to the Residents Association.
Absolutely.
Sorry, do the councillors have any views on the reduced wording?
I think it's important to state, if it's twice a year, it's important to state it and also define what twice a year means, because if you don't say anything like the minimum of 5 months between, you could have 2 in a fortnight. So I think that's the importance of this phrasing, and we've developed it over time, having realised what happens if you don't do it. Thank you.
And I think also with your wording, I mean, how are you going to contact the residents? I mean, I don't see our wording is too complex, to be honest with you. We're just asking that you just notify the local ward councillors and local residents association, not individual residents. It's just like an email. I don't know what your view is on that, but it's quite standard, this condition.
Okay, I think it was all the bits to display and things of that nature, but we'll accept it. We'll accept it.
Thank you. Thank you. 13 is fine. 14 is fine. 15 is fine. You happy with the signage for Challenge 25? Thank
Fine.
you. Right, 16. Do you hold private events in the courtyard, or is it just run-of-the-mill, everyday stuff?
We do occasionally have a private event on the courtyard, but not regularly.
And do the customers stand at private events, or are they all seated?
The seats are always there for them, but you'll find in a private event they walk around a lot more because they're milling and mixing and knowing everyone. So it does appear that they're more upright in a private event.
Okay, so in terms of 16, because I wasn't clear whether it was what the ambit was, and obviously you've said it's going to be waiter-waitress service, so the customers can't go up to the dispense bar and help themselves. What is your view on adding the extra wording about except for private events, customers seated at tables?
I think because, as I explained at the start with regard to the reason for this application, it would probably mean that if the wording was added, we just wouldn't use the licence. Because at the moment, the people do sit down because the tables and chairs aren't removed, but people do also stand occasionally and talk to a colleague. When we've never had a complaint regarding the use of the courtyard, so we're not intending to change the operation. But if we had a condition that said that everybody has to be seated except during private events, I think that they might just decide not to put the bar in the courtyard at all and activate the licence.
Okay, do the councillors have a view on that?
That makes sense.
Okay.
It's a commercial decision.
Okay. Right, number 17, subject to 18, which is about people smoking outside and after the 11 p.m. The external courtyard shall be closed from 2300 hours and all customers shall have left the courtyard area by that time. Are you happy with that?
Again, it probably links into what I've just said before. At the moment, there's no requirement for us to close it at 11 o'clock. We do, but then we ask people to finish their drinks and leave. So there is a period of time where people are finishing off their drinks. If it was closed from 23:30 and customers shall have vacated by 30 minutes later, we'd be perfectly happy with that. But again, we don't want to change.
I think we need to be a bit careful because obviously what you've advertised and what you've offered as a condition, and then I think we just need to be careful about changing 2300 to 2330.
Well, I'm not proposing to change it. I'm saying it will be closed. I'm looking at it in a planning term where premises are closed, but then people still have a period of time to depart. And that's what we were really proposing here. We weren't changing how we're doing it at the moment.
Well, you realize that you're the only premises that is allowed to drink outside after 10 o'clock in the entire borough.
Well, it's not on the highway. I mean, for our pavement licences, it's usually a 10 p.m. But obviously, this is a private forecourt area. It's not on the highway.
But
so that's
I know. I'm just saying the principle.
Yeah.
So.
We completely accept that, and we understand that. And the courtyard has been used for many, many years, with us closing it for customers being able to order drinks at 11 o'clock, but then allowing them some time to finish those drinks.
I suppose my concern is that most of the objections relate to outside noise in the courtyard. That seems to be the thrust of the objections here. And obviously, if you're saying you're going to close it at 11, but then you're not going to make sure customers have left, then that kind of defeats the object, really, doesn't it, I guess? I mean, apart from, I suppose, you're going to get the 35 people, aren't you? That's going to be your, not get-out clause, but that's going to be the exception. But I think the councillors would be happier to see some kind of confirmation that you finish your drink at X time, or we're going to discuss half an hour earlier, but in a minute, and then they want customers off except for the 35. I think that would fit in with the objectives.
Okay. Can I I don't feel that I'm not going to be able to concede that today. I think we would like the wording to be 2,300 hours full stop, and then to allow us time to ask people to leave as we currently do. I would say, though, that when we first the residents who, when we met them on Friday, there was some confusion about the purpose of the application. It's a complex licence already with the different areas and the different hours. So there was clear misunderstanding as regards what we were intending to do. But when we met with the residents, the first residents groups, and those are the residents who lived next door to us, the closest to us, they were happy with the condition as it was currently worded. And they didn't...
They may not have twigged, though. They may have just read the first part and not thought, well, they could stay on, though, and linger.
But they didn't object to the application.
I think the point is it's confusing. It's come out of this discussion, if you like, it's come out, it's emerged kind of publicly that actually people won't leave till 23:30. And I think this is the thing that has to be clarified. It should be closed at 2300 and everybody's off. And that's what I think people perhaps didn't object to, because they thought people will be off the premises, off the external premises by 11 p.m. And you're now saying, no, 23:30.
You will get a lot of appreciation from residents if you have them out by 11 o'clock.
I'm not very good at this. Can I make a proposed compromise? Can we say closed by 11? We want to be able to, we don't want to say 11 at 10:30, but if anybody's finishing drinks, we will ask those people to move inside the premises. So it will be closed by 11. It will just be closed by 11, and we will have cleared it by 11.
Is that not the same, though? They're
no,
moving them
because you were
inside.
suggesting we stop serving at the bar at 10:30. So if we say it will be closed and cleared by 2300 hours, it achieves the same aim. We will simply, if people have finished their drinks leading up to 11 o'clock, we will ask them to
So what happens
leave.
if someone orders a drink at 1 minute to 11 p.m? You're going to just usher them straight inside within that minute?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it does say the suggested conditions have left the external courtyard. So if they leave it by going back inside,
That's okay.
that's okay. It's getting off the courtyard that's the issue, the outside space after 2300.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I think the residents would appreciate that.
Okay. Right. Fine. We're not trying to do anything that's different, but yes.
Yeah,
Fine.
we try
We'll
to
do it.
balance between the residents and your commercial interests.
Yes.
So
And I
we need
think-
to find a balance.
Yeah.
And I think also from an enforcement point of view, it would get a bit messy if you had a saying everything finishes at 11, no licensable activities after 11, but then you might still have customers lingering. So I think it's helpful to have them all inside by 11, but thank you for that.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Okay, number 18, I think you've already touched on why the number 35 came about. Can I have your views on that condition? I think you mentioned something about the glasses, taking glasses outside with them.
I think we're fine with that, with the exception of that final sentence.
Do the councillors have any comment on that?
They don't linger. We don't let them linger, but they just don't like to leave. Some people, of course, like to leave their glassware because they're...
To be fair, I mean, obviously this is a private forecourt, not a pavement licence, and obviously, ordinarily, if it was like someone taking drinks outside with a pub, then obviously they've got a glass in their hand and something happens, then it could be an issue. So I think as it's within a contained area, I don't know what your views are, councillors, but I don't see it as critical, excluding it.
No, for a courtyard enclosed like that, that's fine. I just think 35 people can make a lot of noise.
Nor do we. We do. I mean, we're the closest neighbours to us. We do speak to them, and we do not want to upset them in any way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, yeah, I think about revising that down myself from 35. It just sounds like a lot of people. I mean, I've worked in a lot of places myself, like in hospitality, and that just sounds like a lot of chat, especially at the end of the night. Really, you know, that's where I'm coming from.
I'm going to bring up the smoke. Yeah.
Sorry, would 30 make it any better? I'm just more thinking about where you've got different uses. If you've got,
I think 25 is already too much people out there smoking. You know, most places have 10. So it's just too many people out there, 35 smokers.
Again, some people who have 10, it's probably directly on the street. We're in a courtyard area close to the premises. And again, I would say that we've had permission, no restriction on the number at all for years, and no review, no complaints regarding smokers outside. So we thought 35.
It is a new grant, to be fair, not a variation.
And again,
right?
the residents haven't complained about 35. There's been no objection based on 35, not one objector to that number.
35 people outside smoking together makes a lot of noise. Are you saying 30 now? I'd be happier with 25. 25, I agree with you. Yeah, I think, Councillor Benton, would you be happier with 25?
I mean, 35 is more people than fit in a lot of courtyards in the day, in the licensing hours anyway. I mean, I'd be happy with a lower number like 20. The lower the better, and it's not necessarily a deal breaker, right? I'm just that's my preference. We'll discuss that in deliberation.
Thank you. I mean, unless you want to agree to 25, then the councils will take a view on that in private session and make their own mind up.
Just add that don't forget this borough is residential wherever you go. There is no commercial area like Oxford Street or something. It's all residential. And you can smell 2 cigarettes. So even if, in theory, 25 people were out there smoking, I don't know how many will do that, but even if 2